welcome to YarnGasm. I'm Kristen and this is episode 131. It is Wednesday, January 14th, 2015, Captain's Log. And if you are just tuning in, this is a knitting, spinning, and hand dyeing podcast. Welcome to the show. And if you are a returning viewer, welcome back. It's been a crazy week. Good crazy and not so good crazy, but I will get into that at the end of the episode when I talk about the blather segment of the podcast. But yes, important things first. I want to give a quick shout out to the Knitmore girls. Just say thank you to them for giving me a shout out. Ever since January 1st, they've been doing 12 days of podcasts in which they mention their favorite podcasts on social media. So they gave me a shout out on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. So I just want to say thanks, guys. How awesome is that? So, but yes, if you haven't heard of the Knitmore Girls, hosted by Jasmine and Gigi, they are awesome and you should definitely check them out as well. Okay. I have a couple of events and announcements to make regarding Voolenvine yarns and the podcast. So I won't get into any shop update stuff until the end of the episode in case you're not interested. So I will just discuss events. I'm going to grab my show notes because I want to make sure I have all the details correct. So I don't memorize this stuff, guys. So yeah, I'm going with show notes. First up, this weekend, this was kind of unplanned and this is very spontaneous, but Vogue Knitting Live. I was not anticipating or planning to go this year. I went last year and I just ended up spending a lot of money in the marketplace, but not that I don't enjoy myself, but this year especially because me and Dennis are moving and all this open house stuff is happening, I was gonna lay low this year. But Maria from the Subway Knits podcast contacted me and said, hey, would you be interested in swinging by for a quick podcaster meetup? It's only going to be like an hour. So I was like, yes, sure, I'd love to. I can do an hour. I'll probably stay there for like 2-3 hours, but I made time. So I will be at Vogue Knitting Live this weekend, this Saturday, January 17th from 12 p.m. to at least 1 p.m. I'll be joining Maria of the Subway Knits podcast for a podcaster meetup at the Chiagu and One Geek to Craft Them All booth. And I just want to say that Marsha from One Geek to Craft Them All had invited me as well to kind of sell my yarn there, but I could not be there. I can't be there all day, so I told her I was going to pass, but I had no idea that she was affiliated with Chiagu and Maria, and they were doing this thing, so I'm just like, great, 1 hour, I can definitely do that. So I will be there with Maria, handing out mini skeins, and I will have other fun podcast swag. So definitely stop by, say hello. I would love to meet you if you're going to be in the neighborhood. It's going to be held at the Marriott Marquis in Times Square in Manhattan. So if you're in the neighborhood, swing by, say hello, shop a little, do a little fiber damage, if you will, and meet some awesome fiber folk. Definitely stop by. The other thing that's happening is the Brooklyn Knitting and Crochet Guild panel. This is happening on January 25th, which is a Sunday, from 1:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. I will be there along with other fiber folk, including Sarah from Knit York City, Marsha again from One Geek to Craft Them All, Maria again from Subway Knits podcast, and oh goodness, I know I'm forgetting somebody very important. I think that's it. I don't know. I will post this along with everything else I mentioned in the show notes, and please forgive me if I'm forgetting you, but a bunch of very talented people speaking on yarn crafting and blogging. And I will have yarn on hand for sale. So, and Marsha from One Geek to Craft Them All will have her stitch markers. So stop by there as well. I'm really excited about that. And I was gonna put my show notes down there on the floor. So if I look on the floor, maybe I shouldn't keep them on the floor. I don't know. That's a bad idea. Okay, I'll just keep them in hand until I'm ready to talk about something else. Those are the events coming up. And my microphone. Okay. So yeah, those are the events coming up that I'm very excited about, and I look forward to meeting you if you stop by. And that means I have to hunker down and dye a lot of yarn and create mini skeins. So wow, I'm doing a lot of talking. It's been a busy morning. I believe this is like the third time I tried to sit down and record a podcast, but things kept coming up. So it's all in my head and I'm trying to get it out. So bear with me. Okay, so I have nothing off the needles this week, unfortunately. Dennis's cardigan is still, well, because I've had to put everything into the closet in storage and everything because we've been having an open house and everything. We have to make everything look very bare bones and just basically a blank canvas for buyers who come in during the open house, just keep our house pretty much a blank canvas so they can add their own vision to the space, if you will. I don't know, some of you may not be aware of, like what goes into selling property or anything. But again, I will get into the details at the end of the episode. But yes, a lot of my stash and knitting projects have been put into the closet. So naturally they're out of sight. And because they are out of sight, they're not out in the open for me to just be like, oh, I'll work on this. Oh, I'll work on that. Dennis's cardigan is in the closet, out of sight, out of mind. And it kills me. I really wanted to have that done and it's not done. But I've had little projects out in the open that I can just easily pick up and put away when I need to. So yeah, no finished objects, but I've been making progress on other things, namely Ellie's test knit, which I think I'm making progress on it. I put a major dent in it the other day. And this is her endurance shawl that I'm test knitting out of my hand dyed. This is Poe on my blitzed base. Which I don't know if you can see the sparkles in there. But yeah, this is her endurance shawl. It's a super long cast on. I believe it was like 400 plus stitches that I had to cast on. And it's going to be a long, as Ellie calls it, a scarf. So it's a labor of love. And I believe I'm more than halfway done. I don't know, but there are a lot of short rows in the middle. So the good thing is, like, while it had a super long cast on, because there are short rows, the rows are getting shorter and shorter, which I'm grateful for because, as I mentioned, it's a labor of love, but it's turning out beautifully. I don't know if you can see. It has like a twisted cable, like just one row of cables that create like this really cute, beautiful twisted ruffle at the end, and then it has like this nice texture in the middle. I don't know if you can focus. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, so I'm almost there. And what was I going to say about it? I was going to say something. Oh, I'm calling it my jellyfish tentacle scarf once I'm done, because it is reminding me of a jellyfish tentacle. It's so long and it has like this little ripple going along the edge. I think that other end will have a ripple as well. And my microphone has a mind of its own today. Okay. It likes to flip on the other side and it's not supposed to do that. But anyway. And yeah, I am using, again, my Knit Picks Caspian interchangeable needles. And a lot of you, and last week I said I was having trouble with the interchangeables twisting off as I'm knitting them. And a lot of you mentioned, oh, you just use the key that comes with it. It tightens it. I don't know what happened to those keys. The little metal stick that comes with it that you are supposed to use to tighten the twist of the needle onto the cable. I'm horrible. I don't keep track of these things. So a lot of you suggested that I find a safety pin or, not a safety pin, a paper clip to use as a key. I don't know where my paper clips are. I really don't. Am I not the most unorganized person ever? Disorganized, unorganized? I guess those are the same term. I don't know. I'm making up words again, apparently. I don't know. But anyway, that's where I am with this. Beautiful pattern. I believe she's releasing it at the end of January, so definitely keep a lookout for that. And I will try. I don't know if I'm late in the game. I am really bad when it comes to test knits. I'm the worst when it comes to this stuff. I'm trying to get this done before the end of January. I don't know if Ellie's lost hope when it comes to my test knit, but anyway, it will be released at the end of January, so it's a pattern for all. What else am I working on? And I'm trying not to talk with my hands a lot this week, but I don't know, because I know it causes the camera to refocus and everything, so I'm trying to keep my elbows, which is why, I don't know if you've watched my other episodes, my elbows are usually tight at my side, but then I'm like talking with my hands. I'm a hand talker, guys. I'm leaving it at that. So, okay, the other thing that's on my needles is, well, as I showed you last week, I finished my sleep season sock, which is the yarn that I purchased at Gage Intention. Wow, tongue twister today. This is the yarn that I purchased at Gage Intention, and the yarn is from Sleep Season in her Gage colorway. So I finished that a while ago, and then I cast on the other sock, and I'm making progress on it. So the only thing that I realized after the fact is that I did a different type of ribbing on this sock compared to the other one. I did it 1x1 twisted rib, whereas the other one just has a simple 1x1 ribbing. So this one clearly is a lot more poofy. I don't know, how do you describe it? It's not, I'll just put it here, you can see. This has a more dense twist to it compared to this one. This one's more lofty, this one's more dense. And I think the difference between not only the look, but it's tighter at the top, whereas the regular 1x1 ribbing is a little bit looser. So it's not as tight. But anyway, socks are for me. I'm not going to be OCD about it, so I'm going with it. The other thing on my needles, which is back on my needles apparently, you might recognize this from a while back. This is a finished sock in my Everything is Awesome colorway, because it is rainbowy awesome, naturally. And a lot of you had requested me to dye this up, which is it's not the typical way that I dye yarn. This is actually like hand painted, and anyway, because my kitchen is so small, I am not able to dye this on a large grand scale, if you can imagine. And so I am putting this on an indefinite hiatus. Hopefully in our new place, I will have a bigger kitchen to work with, and I will be able to bring this back into the shop. I'm not sure when, but yeah, this is my Everything is Awesome colorway. It's not a self-striping yarn, but it's a mock self-striping yarn, kind of like my Holly Jolly colorway, but it's just like a really fun rainbow. It has like a rainbowy flashy effect. But anyway, I finished one sock a while back, and then I started the other, which I was so close to finishing. I brought it to my parents' place to, just as a project for the car ride, and then I brought it in and showed my mom. She goes, "Oh, that's so fun," and I actually got around to showing her how to knit, and she was like, I'm like, "Do you want to hang on to this? Just, I'm like, keep it. If you're going to actually try to learn how to knit, you can hang on to it. If not, give it back to me now." She goes, no, I'm gonna take a crack at it. So I showed her how to knit and everything like that. Long story short, it wasn't for her. So she gave it back to me recently. Her cat got a hold of it, so it's in a little bit of a tangle, but nothing too bad. I can imagine her sitting there and just kind of untangling it, because she's one of those people that if you have like a tangled necklace or whatever, my mom will sit there and actually pick it apart for you. Again, I don't know where you types of people get the patience to do that, but I salute you. But yeah, so this is again on my needles, and the fact that I'm more than halfway done with it, I'm excited. So I will have another pair of socks off the needles very shortly. Yeah, so the other project that I'm working on, I cannot show because it is for a person who watches the podcast. So I might not be able to show it on the podcast, but hopefully once it's out and the person receives it, I will be able to show a photo of it. Or maybe, no, I won't say that. But anyway, there will be a photo of it. But anyway, moving along, I have spinning to talk about. And those of you who watch the podcast are probably aware of the despackle that's going on, which is the drop spindle to shawl spin along, knit along. So yeah, as always, I am following the thread, even though I don't post in there as often as I would love to be able to. There's just a lot going on, and I try to pop in there every now and then and comment on all your projects in your fiber. I'm seeing so many beautiful drop spindles and fiber, and if you need to be enabled, just pop in that thread, because there are beautiful photos all around, and people are making progress and they're loving the spin along. So I'm just going to share the progress that I've made on it so far. Where is my project? Okay, here we go. I'm back and in focus. Okay, so as you know, I purchased a bat from Loop, one of her bullseye bats. And the colorway is Violets in Merino, Nylon, and Angelina. So let me just show you what I have left. So as you can see, I'm almost done with it's like a light rose color, and I'm moving more into like a darker mauve color. Totally my colors, right? So, okay. Let me see. I thought I had over an ounce of fiber that I had spun, but I was wrong. It's only a half ounce that I spun. And I'm spinning this I'm applying on the fly, which is a technique I've demonstrated on the podcast. I feel like a few times, but anyway, I think like 3 episodes back, I actually do a demo and show you how I do it. But this is a half ounce that because my drop spindle, which I'll show you in a second, couldn't hold anymore. So I just, let me see if I can get this to focus. There we go. I couldn't hold any more fiber on it, so I just skeined it. So this is a half an ounce. There we go. And it's this really beautiful, dusty rose/mauve color. And I love it. Yeah. So I'm just going to create like all these mini skeins, and once the time comes, just cake them up together and see how that works out. But I'm spinning it on the Spanish Peacock spindle that I treated myself to for Christmas. And it's a beautiful spindle and spins lovely. And here's where I am with my spinning. So, yeah, I'm working at it. So this is how much of this color that I have left to spin. I've been kind of like balling them up into like these little portable tribbles, if you will. So this is the last solid of the rose color that I have left to spin. And then here you can see it's starting to transition into that like very mauve color. There you go. And it's like ever so subtly there's like a very subtle sparkle to it. It's beautiful. I love it. 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 But I do want to mention we have some awesome giveaway prizes that I want to mention. Did I just say that? Yeah. I want to mention that we have some amazingly awesome giveaway prizes. The first that I want to mention is Aaron Makes Stuff. Him and his wife generously, kindly, amazingly donated one of their drop spindles for the despackle. So you guys, thank you so much. I do not have it with me to show you on the podcast. I have to reach out to them and see if they want to send it to me so I can show it off on the podcast, or I can have them send me a high-res image that I can just pop in here at some point. But if you know, I've been spinning some Gourmet Stash fibery tribbles with my Aaron Makes Stuff spindle. So if you're not familiar, him and his wife, I think I'm blanking on her name, forgive me, but Aaron and his wife, I will of course put this stuff in the show notes. she picks out the color combinations with these, like, this is brilliant. I mean, like different color combinations using colored pencils, and then Erin molds them together to create like these really fun drop spindles. And mine has purple, peach, gray, and then there's like purple glitter inside, and it spins beautifully. Here's where I am at spinning these vibrate dribbles from Gourmet Stash in the headway colorway. Ugh. Come on, camera. There we go. But anyway, I'll post a photo of it online. But yeah, so in between like knitting and everything, I've been taking a break and spinning on my spindles and stuff like that, just so I'm not bored. So I'm not bored to death with just what I'm spinning on the D-Speckle. Not that I am bored, but just to give me a little break and a little variety, because I need variety. The other prize that I want to share with you is from Laura of The Fox and the Fawn, which is a gorgeous Etsy shop. She's based in Canada, and she kindly donated a tote bag, which she hand stitched and printed on. So this is a canvas tote bag, and it has a tree trunk imprinted on it. I don't know if you can make that out, but it's really beautiful, really well made, and it's perfect for storing your whips or your FOs in. And it's really sturdy too, so it's solid. So if you're not into carrying, you know, little project bags with you, I actually keep a lot of tote bags around, like, you know, bags that I get, those reusable bags that you get from stores like Urban Outfitters or like those cloth bags or whatever. I actually use tote bags more so than, you know, project bags sometimes, depending, you know, where I'm going or whatever. But yeah, this is really cool. And here is her, hang on, my microphone. Okay, here is her business card. Can I get that to focus? Ugh, camera. There we go. It's the Fox and the Fawn. It's a really cute card. And handmade in Alberta, Canada by Lara Stansell and Michael Reynolds. And you can find them on Etsy, and I will post a link in the show notes where you can find her stuff. And one thing she makes that I adore, she makes these really cool furry faux fur hats with ears, and then they're like lined with these fun patterns. I love them. They're so creative. I don't know if I would wear them out, but I would totally wear it around my apartment. I don't know. I have to think about it. But anyway, definitely check her stuff out. But I will put this in a safe place away from the elements like I do. But thank you guys. Those are super generous and thoughtful giveaway prizes, and I'm very excited about them. And yes, of course, if you would like to donate a giveaway prize for the D-Speckle, just PM me on Ravelry and we'll discuss. Yeah, so, okay. Sorry for the rustling. I'll actually just put this here for now. But, okay. Other spinning. I was watching the TV Knitting podcast hosted by Sharon, also known as Stitch Mistress. She actually started, I will talk more about this in the Just Can't Get Enough segment, but she just started video podcasting, and she pulled out her she showed her Turkish spindle, and I've had a Turkish spindle for a while, and just seeing like her work on it and some people on Instagram and stuff like that, I decided to pull out my Subterranean Woodworks drop spindle that I purchased a while back. I don't know, it was a gift from my grandmother, like a holiday gift or a birthday gift or whatever. She gave me a birthday gift and said, treat yourself to something. And this is what I treated myself to, something, or, you know, buy something nice. And I bought something nice. So this is my Subterranean Woodworks drop spindle, and it's a Turkish spindle. And it took me a while to kind of, like at first when I started learning how to use it, I wasn't liking the motions, but I watched a couple of tutorials online on YouTube, and I got the hang of it, and I'm loving it. And I don't know if you can see that. I'm using yarn, I'm using fiber from Hobbledehoy. Fiber that I've had for a while that's just been kind of languishing in my stash, that I should have not have dug into until I learned how to spin better, if you will. But this is such a beautiful, light, and gorgeous drop spindle. I really love it. It's so well made, and I love that it's so tiny and cute. But yeah, you do a half hitch here, and you just spin, 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 spin. I'm getting used to doing this on the podcast for you guys, just spinning and spinning, and then you butterfly. This is, then after you're done butterflying, I usually just take my thumb and then unhitch it, and then I go under 1, over 2, under 1, over 2, under 1, over 2. Once I have a little bit left over, I just half hitch it back on. Oops, take my thumb and half hitch it back on. Oh, I didn't put enough twist in it, obviously, but then you just keep on spinning. But yeah, I kind of noodled around with it last night, and it's very relaxing. That's drop spindling usually is. But yeah, so I'm having fun with that. And I will actually post a link to this one YouTube tutorial that I'm forgetting her name, but she covers everything as far as, it's like a really interesting good crash course if you want to learn how to drop spindle on a trick or spindle. So I will post a link to that in the show notes in case you're curious. But yeah. Okay, spinning that's pretty much all I have to talk about regarding spinning. Let me see. Okay, this is going to be a long episode, so I'm not going to do it because you asked this week. I will do it next week. So I'll just move along to Just Can't Get Enough. Or no, I should do stash enhancement. Because I did treat myself, you guys. I did treat myself. This month is actually my birthday, so I have a reason. I have an excuse. So everyone has been talking about, every podcast that I've been watching has been raving about Regia. Regia yarn. I think that's how you pronounce it. Or Regia, but I like the way Regia sounds. I don't know why. It's yarn from Italy. But anyway, I was on Webs. I was determined to try it out. I know Molly from Homespun House was raving about the tweed one. And I went on to Webs. There's some other stuff that I wanted to buy from there that, I don't know, like I could buy it all. I wanted to be able to buy it all in one place. And they did have the tweed there, but in colorways that I wasn't crazy about. So I went with the self-striping. I wanted it on the fun, what can I say? And it's rare that I buy like commercial. I'm a snob when it comes to yarn. I admit it. I love indie dyed yarn. I love, just the different stuff, but when it comes to, sometimes I dive in. If I'm knitting a sweater, I will buy commercial yarn. But usually when it comes to socks and, like shawls and stuff like that, I'll go for the indie stuff. But this time I treated myself to some Regia in the 6 fasi color. So it's like 6 color changes. Here's my microphone. Let me see. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, and I'm German. There's some words I know how to pronounce, and other words I don't. FYI, like my grandmother, she's full-on German, and I grew up, she spoke German to me. I understand what certain things mean. I don't speak it fluently. Certain words I can, but certain words I don't. But that's one thing I would love to do, just take a lesson in, learn how to speak German. Because I love it, I really do. It would be awesome to learn how to speak it. I don't know. It's not exactly the language of love, but I do love the way it sounds. Anyway, okay. So yeah, this is Regia. In what colorway was it? I forgot what it was. They had it on the website, and then let me see. Oh, here we go. In our favorite colorway 063 06369, a majestic colorway of sorts. So yeah. Anyway, but yes, it has all these gorgeous colors, and they're like purples, blues, like coral, lime green. And I've been wanting to knit some self-striping yarn for a while, so I figured, okay, perfect excuse. And yeah, this is really cool. So I got that, and then there was another skein of something that I couldn't resist, another yarn that I've been wanting to try. Why did it all go over there? And I couldn't resist this colorway. It spoke to me. And I saw some projects on Ravelry that I was like, I want to knit that. So I got this. This is another German. So yeah, this is Schopel Crazy Zauberball. And it is pretty crazy if you look at it. It has like pinks and greens, blues. Yeah, I saw it online and I was like, mine, you're coming home to me. Let's see. My lens is being super lazy today. There we go. So yeah, it's very crazy, but I love it. But yeah, like sea greens, lime greens, grays, and then of course pink. And this colorway is Plaza Schema. I don't know what that means. I have to look it up, but yeah. So I'm looking forward to trying that on my new carbons. And yes, I know what you're thinking. Why did I get DPNs? I don't know. I guess, again, Molly from Homespun House, I always see her knitting with them, and I was just like, those look really fun to knit on. And these are US, I don't know why, I just want to give it a try. Because there is a part of me where I'm just like, I really do like knitting on DPNs from time to time. And I really do like the carbons. I like the way how they're lightweight. And yeah, so I got a pair of US 1.5s. That's 2.5 millimeters. And they do really have a good tip. They're not too sharp. They're just right. So yeah, I have my work cut out for me. So that's enabling for this week. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to casting those on. And like I said, like I'm glad it's at least yarn and not fiber, because I really need to even out my yarn stash is kind of stashed down, if you will. It's hard to believe that I've actually knit through most of it. It feels like I haven't, but anyway, I'm trying to even things out, if you will. But yeah, so that's it for enhancements. Let's move on to just can't get enough. So I'm not like totally obsessed with anything this week. I am taking a Craftsy class, a new Craftsy class, because a while back, a long while back, before summer, a friend of mine who I went to college with, he emailed me with the subject line, weird crafting project. And I'm like, okay. So I read it. He sent me this link to a Steve Martin film. I'm totally not remembering the name of it, but it was in black and white. It's an older movie, like from the 70s or I believe like the 80s or whatever. He did this movie where he's like a gumshoe detective or something like that, and this woman comes to he's like, like watch the clip and pay attention to the photo on the wall, or the saying on the wall or whatever, and it's a framed thing that's on the wall. So I watched the clip, and it was a framed embroidered saying. It said, "Don't fall in love with the client." So he wanted to know if I could replicate it, and he commissioned me to do it. He paid me to do it. I got all the materials, and I was like, I can do it. This is amazing, because I do cross stitch, and I've dabbled in embroidery. I'm like, oh, no brainer. Granted, it took me forever to do, and I was not making any progress. I wasn't liking my stitching, so I just said to hell with it, and I did a cross stitch, because he did say that I can use artistic license. I was like, does it have to be exact, or can I just do it? Can I just, use artistic license? He goes, please use artistic license. I'm like, okay. So I chucked the embroidered one. I don't have it here to show you, but I did create a cross stitch of it. Again, the saying was, don't fall in love with a client. And he loves like all this, retro kind of like 1920s kitsch, if you will. So here's the cross stitch that I did. Again, I'll post a link to the clip so you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, this is my interpretation of it. And this might be backwards. I don't know. But yeah, don't fall in love with the client. And I actually used this with I used an app to create this. There is a cross-stitch app that you can download for your iPad and iPhone. There goes something off of my desk. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, it's called Cross Stitch Maker, and I believe it's $1.99 US. But yeah, you can create your own cross stitch patterns. It doesn't give you the directions or anything. It's just to create like a graphic or whatever, and I just kind of followed that. And yeah, I created this fun little cross stitch pattern, or cross stitch for him. So I'm going to mail this to him. I'm going to send him directions to, you know, if there are wrinkles in it, just iron it out, soak it, and then frame it, because he did not pay me for the frame. So, but anyway, so that's going to him. But now that has me on a kind of kick, you know, like I want to learn how to do more embroidery. So I'm taking this class with, I want to get it right. It's called Design It, Stitch It, Hand Embroidery with Jessica Marquez. And I'm not diving full on into it. Obviously, I don't have all the time in the world, but I've been kind of dabbling. I don't have anything to show you because I need a little work. I'm just getting all the stitches down and everything like that. And, you know, I just want to be able to do some basic, simple embroidery because there's so many beautiful projects out there that you can do. But I did... I have been bitten by the embroidery, the cross stitch bug, because those are so fun and quick to punch out, and they're cute. You can easily just kind of, frame them and hang them, and they're adorable. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I have something in the other room that I cross stitched a while back, but anyway, random digressional thought. So yeah, that's one thing that I just can't get enough of these days. I don't know. The other thing that I mentioned, Stitch Mistress of the TV, people are texting me like crazy, and it's Dennis. I don't know. But yeah, Stitch Mistress of the TV Knitting Podcast. As you know, if you don't know, she originally had an audio podcast, and she just started video podcasting, which I am super, super excited about. Because granted, I love her podcast. She's an amazing spinner, and I was just so excited to finally be able to see all of her gorgeous hand spun. I mean, she shows it off, like her projects. She's incredible when it comes to that, and she's funny. If you follow her audio podcast, her and her husband, sometimes they have cocktail time, where they talk about their favorite cocktails and how to drink. You know, like they talk about, it's the booze portion of the podcast, which I find hysterical. And you get to have all these interesting recipes and stuff like that if you want to have cocktail night or something. But anyway, her podcast is called the TV Knitting Podcast with Stitch Mistress. Definitely check it out. And yeah, the other one, Maria, she's still video podcasting. So I know I mentioned her podcast last week. She also went from audio to video as well. And I'm really liking this, guys. Well, I love listening to audio. I like Laura from the Dyer's Notebook said, I talk to these guys on a regular basis, and it's just so nice to be able to see what they're working on and see them in person. So it's like, we don't get to hang out all the time. So it's just nice to be able to see their face and like what they're working on. And I feel like they're actually hanging out with me. So yeah, if you are an audio podcaster, video might be next for you. I don't know. Give it a try. It's fun. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Just Can't Get Enough. Shop update stuff. So if you're not interested in that, I will see you next week. Happy knitting. And yeah, otherwise I'm going to move on to what I'm going to, because of what's been going on, I don't have any new yarn to show you, but I can tell you what will be going on in the shop. I will have more Valentine's Day colorways in the shop, And then the other thing that I'm excited about are mystery skeins. If you're not familiar with, I just on a whim, I posted a listing for mystery skeins, which are, full disclosure, they are mess up skeins because not everything goes perfectly in a dye pot. If you know, there are some white spots, some colorways just don't pan out, and there are some skeins I'm just not keen on advertising in my shop, or just they're colors that I'm just kind of like meh about. But instead of just having them languish or having me throw them out, I would prefer to find them a home. So and have them loved, So I know there are many of you out there who love knitting socks, who love knitting hexa puffs for a beekeeper's quilt, and can just use that extra yarn. So I want to put them out there at a discount rate. So when you purchase a mystery skein, you will get one 100-gram skein. It could be worsted, it could be DK, it could be fingering. Most likely it will be fingering, but there is a chance it could be another weight. You will not know what colorway you're going to get. It could be a discontinued colorway, it could be a discontinued base. I have a lot of those. So I just want to find, instead of wasting the yarn, I want to make sure that they are being used and, not being wasteful. So yes, those are on sale in my shop. I have a couple, while supplies last. They will be on sale in my shop for $15. So yeah, you might get lucky. Try it out. So other than that, the other new thing that I want to talk about is yes, it is a new base. I know every week it seems like I'm bringing in new bases into my shop, but yes, I'm a new indie dyer, and I'm kind of like trying out new things and everything. It's a lot of trial and error until I find, my main line of bases that I want to stick with on a regular basis. Base on a regular basis. Oh my gosh. That is totally going to be the title of the episode. Bases on a regular basis. Okay. Anyway. But yeah, I did want to offer a superwash merino / nylon sock base in my repertoire, if you will. So, what did I do with that? Oh my goodness. Well, that totally escaped me. But anyway, yes, I will have a new sock base in my shop this weekend, or this Friday. Wow, I am so scatterbrained, guys. I apologize. I did not get any sleep this week, and I've just been running around like a mad woman. But anyway, yes, I will have a new sock base in my shop called Stark, which is German for strong. So it will have 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. So it will be a strong sock base, and perfect for knitting socks, because I know I have a lot of fingering, merino, nylon, cashmere. Sometimes you don't want that extra bit of luxury. Sometimes you just want a good sock yarn. So that's what this is. And I tried it out a while back and I liked it, but I kind of fell in love with the merino, nylon, cashmere and everything, but I'm bringing it back. So if you remember, I had Strasa. Was it Strasa? No, McGinnis sock. That was just 100% superwash merino, which was it's kind of like that, but this has like that added nylon to it, which gives it that extra durability. So I'm very excited about that. I don't have any of it dyed to show you, so you'll see it in the shop this weekend. So there's that. And then the other thing, what else did I want to talk about in the shop update? I think that's it. Let me see. Oh, yes. Okay. So this week, the first installment of the Vampire Romance Yarn Club, those shipped out this week. I'm still in the process of rescanning and packaging and shipping them out. I apologize, I'm going down the list. I'm trying to get done as much as I possibly can this week. So I apologize if your general orders are a little bit late. It's only because I've been running around doing other things that are important to selling one's home, like cleaning and everything like that. So I apologize. This week is a little slow when it comes to shipping, but I'm doing everything that I can to get those out this week. But yes, if you have not received your first installment of the Vampire Romance Yarn Club, look away if you don't want any spoilers or anything, because I'm going to show it, because I'm excited about it. And yeah, I saved a scheme for myself because I want to knit with it. So yes, if you do not if you don't want any spoilers, look away now. I will count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm going to show it. So this is the first installment. I don't know if you can guess, and you're probably saying, what the heck does this have to do with vampires? Well, the colorway is called Mina and Dracula. Does it make sense now? If you've seen the movie, you probably get it, but let me see if I can get this to focus. It's like a very, very faint light spring green with like this really deep emerald green. And my overhead light is very bright, and yeah, so it's like this light spring green with like a deep emerald green or forest green, and then like a hint of gray, like a purplish gray, and then some bits of white in there. And if you've seen, this is based on the Francis Ford Coppola version of Dracula, of Bram Stoker's Dracula, the scene where Dracula first introduces himself to Mina in the street. Her dress is like this, has different shades of green in it, and then he has like this amazing like silver gray suit with the top hat and everything. So that's the scene that this is based on. And I was going to put like flecks of blue because if you remember, he had like those shocking blue spectacles, but I just love the way this looked, and I felt like the blue would have killed it. I don't know. And it's so subtle. And this is on my Nouveau base, which is a single ply, 100% superwash merino, which is perfect for knitting pretty much anything. I wouldn't knit, you can knit socks with it. It would create like a really lofty sock. But this, I would knit like mittens or a hat or even, a shawl. You could even knit a shawl with it. Something very simple, so any delicate details don't get lost or anything like that. But yeah, so I'm very happy with this colorway, and I hope you love it if you join the club. Again, if you are not a member of the Yarn Club, these colorways will not be released until 3 months after. So the Yarn Club lasts until March. So 3 months after that, March, April, May, June, this colorway will, and the following 3 will not be released until next July. And speaking of yarn clubs, I am slowly releasing the Art Nouveau colorways into the shop. The Art Nouveau Yarn Club colorways. Last week I released water sprites into the club, which I'm going to be trying. I will try to dye up more this week to have in the shop. Again, time is very limited for me, but yeah, so we'll see how much I can actually dye up and put in the shop. But I want to get Tiffany in there and Yellow Dress in there as well. So look out for those. So yeah, that's that. And then shop policies. I am going to be, just to kind of keep the workflow steady and continuous, I am making a policy. I am not taking any more custom orders. I apologize. I just can't keep up with them. And for me, I'm just going to be, my policy is just going to be dye as I buy. First come, first serve basis. Because that's what I can do. That's how I work. That's what works for me. And that's all I'm going to say about it. I apologize if that doesn't work for you, but it's my business, and I have to figure out a way to make it flow. And that's how it's going to go. And I'm rhyming again. But anyway, but yes, if you do want multiple skeins of a particular colorway, a repeatable colorway, one of my, a colorway that I have already dyed that I can repeat, I will be, if you need bulk or you need more than one skein to like knit a sweater or something, I can do that. I do have a 4 skein limit. So if you are interested in purchasing a sweater's worth of Dirty on Purpose, for example, I can make that happen. Just, email me via Etsy, let me know what you need, and I can make it happen. So otherwise, that's how I'm going to roll. The other exciting thing that I want to talk about is the FO and Dye Big Shiny Dye Experiment Part 2. If you remember the last dye experiment that I did, it was with me, Laura from Jinx Yarns and the Dyer's Notebook, and Ellie from FO and Dye, who also is a hand dyer. We are doing part 2. We partook in a big shiny die experiment set up by Dave. And the theme was the 7 wonders of the natural world. And as you know, I kind of messed that up. I died a wonder of one of the 7 wonders of the modern world. This time I'm reading the directions. But yes, me, Laura, and Kate from Gourmet Stash, and Ellie again, and somebody else, I believe. I'm blinking on their names. Forgive me. We are partaking in part 2 of the Big Shiny Die experiment. So there's a thread I will link to in the show notes where you can suggest topics, which Dave will pick out of a hat. Dave is the co-host of the FO and Die podcast with Ellie. So yeah, he's keeping, because Ellie and Kate have been ill. Thankfully, they seem to be on the mend, and soon he's leaving the thread open, so you can go in and suggest topics, and he will pick them out of a hat. He will pick a topic out of a hat, so to give us, a topic to die. So definitely check that out. What else? Okay, so now we're on to Blather. Where I talk about stuff that's going on in my life, other than dyeing and knitting and stuff like that, because stuff has been going on. Oh yeah, let me talk about my teacup, because I feel like that's a running theme in podcasts now. This is my my birdhouse teacup. It's a huge teacup that I got at the 99-cent store, which is rare to find such amazingness at a 99-cent store, right? Okay, my microphone's still on. But yeah, so I'm drinking Egyptian licorice yogi tea, which I'm obsessed with. I'm still obsessed with it. I could just drink it like by the gallons. I don't know. I should try making iced tea with it. That would be really good. But yeah, okay, Blather. As you know, me and Dennis have put our house on the market. We are looking for a bigger apartment because clearly my business life is overlapping, my business space is overlapping with our personal space. And it's just gotten out of hand. In a good way, yes, but yes, we don't have space. So we're looking for a space where we can spread out. I can have my own office per se, and, bigger kitchen where I can just dye. Hopefully maybe even a basement. I don't know. That would be wonderful if I could have a basement to dye in. Dye yarn in, not actually dye in. I always have to double check myself. Did I say that right? Or I just want to make sure that yes, dyeing yarn, not the other way around. But anyway, yeah. So this whole week has been trying to keep the house in order, a blank canvas, so when potential buyers come in for the open house, they can just attribute their own visions for the living space, not just see yarn everywhere in our life and everything, and get confused and be like, oh wait, I don't think this space is for us. Anyway, you get the idea. So yeah, basically, if you are familiar with the whole dye process and everything, you know that yarn gets everywhere, and I have tools like that thing. So thankfully we have these huge closets where I've been able to just kind of shove everything in and keep it out of sight when we have people come over to look at the space. So that's what this week has pretty much been, just taking it all out and putting it back in, taking it all out and putting it back in. And we're gonna have to do it again this Sunday. So yeah, last weekend when we had an open house, we had to take the cat with us. She did not like that at all. She does not like car rides. I felt horrible, but she was okay. It was only an hour and a half that we had to stay out of the house. But yeah, but yesterday we had another open house. The realtor, who's a friend of ours, said, it's only going to be an hour in open house. You can just let her stay. I was like, okay, she'll probably just hide under the sofa because she's so nervous. Funny story. I actually went out, ran a couple of errands during that hour, and at the end, I was on my way back. The realtor said, "Oh, good news. You had a couple of offers. Yay!" And your cat, she was out. She was out and about, and she was, I was like, "Oh my gosh, are you sure it's our cat that you're talking to?" He goes, "Yeah, no, she's out. She was doing all these yoga positions," and immediately I was like, "Oh, she's doing A-frame," in the background. Oh my gosh! Thankfully, they, found it funny that she was doing yoga or something. So I was like, okay, great, that's awesome. But yeah, my cat's a social butterfly. Who knew? But yeah, so the good news is we did have a few offers on the table, which means we can sell our place sooner than later. But the other thing means that we're gonna have to scramble. Like once we accept an offer and go into contract, we're gonna have to scramble and find a place to live. Granted, me and Dennis have been looking around the neighborhood and all of Brooklyn. We were open to like neighborhoods and like different neighborhoods and stuff like that. But the thing is, it's like, while we've seen places that we really like, a lot of, sellers aren't interested in going into contract with people who don't already have their current place in contract. So it's kind of been like touch and go with, places that we've seen. So once our place is in contract, we'll be able to have some leverage on putting an offer down on a new place. But right now nobody's interested, because our place isn't in contract right now. So I don't know how much, for those of you who aren't familiar with, real estate and stuff like that and how this is all new to me too. Like Dennis has been, I give him credit, he's been doing all like the phone calls and, searching and stuff like that. Yeah, so you can imagine it's interesting. I'll put it at that. And that's, now I can understand why Bravo has all those shows like $1 Million Listing and House Hunters and yeah, all those shows. So that's pretty much what's been going on. Other than that, my birthday's coming up, and I'm, not that I like bragging about my birthday or anything like that, but yeah, it's coming at the end of the month, and I just anticipate it's going to be crazy. There's not going to be any time to celebrate because we're going to be doing all this apartment stuff, but yeah. I don't have any special plans planned out yet, or party or anything like that. I don't know, maybe, I'm just looking forward to spending time with Dennis, going out to eat, and all that stuff. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it for this week. It's another long episode, and I feel like there is something else that I wanted to talk about. I did want to talk about like my goals for like my knitting goals and shop goals and stuff like that, but I just find those so, because I'm just so spontaneous when it comes to I don't know. I don't want to talk about goals or anything because I know, like, number one, I never really stick to resolutions or anything like that. So I just won't even go there. Yeah. Okay. So that said, I hope everyone has a wonderful week ahead of you. Happy knitting, and I'll see you next time. Bye.